Greetings, my beloved sisters. This year, for the feast day of Our Lady of the Holy Rosary, I decided to do something differently by speaking directly to you through this recorded message. This theme of vulnerability has come up when we met together as a group of congregational leaders worldwide this year in May in Rome. The theme of our meeting was embracing vulnerability, and I have longed to be able to share that with my sisters. You know, as I look across the congregation, I see different faces and different levels of vulnerability. You know, it shows like physical vulnerability, like many of our sisters are in physical danger. You know, recently there are spate of kidnappings of priests and religious in places where we serve. Recently, 4 priests and a nun were kidnapped in Manfe, Cameroon, where our sisters work. And the same happened in Nigeria to 4 sisters. So there is living with that. In addition, many of us live in places where we see so many needs, and yet not enough resources to attend to these needs in terms of finance and in terms of personnel. Not to talk of some of our sisters who have now retired in their golden years and are no longer able to be involved in active ministries across the borders of our countries and cultures. And some of them struggle to find meaning in their lives now. Some of us are struggling with aches and pains, reduced mobility, not able to see and hear. And some of us live with different illnesses, some of them unexpected. Then there are deaths of loved ones and coping with challenges in the family. Many of us are struggling with different vulnerabilities. The effects are numerous. Even the simple fact of thinking that something is wrong with me when I'm feeling vulnerable leaves the person carrying the burden alone. Then there are some of us who are living as if we are superhuman. Some of us are holding 3 or 4 jobs, stretching ourselves from here to there, getting only 3 to 4 hours sleep on average. And of course, we get easily irritated, and that impacts on our relationship with each other and with those we serve. There is also the vulnerability of not having enough resources, and that's also impacting on us as a congregation. You know, the fact that vulnerability is not actually seen as something to be shared, is seen as shameful, means that some of our sisters are living in isolation. Many of us have grown up in families and in societies where vulnerability is seen as shameful and therefore to be hidden. You know, I'm one of them because I grew up thinking that it was shameful to feel vulnerable. And what was the impact? When I was in my early 30s, I was diagnosed with brain tumor. I thought, you know, this was something so shameful that I locked myself up in the room. I couldn't step outside because I thought that in front of me was written brain tumor. And I felt so shameful, feeling that I had failed humanity, and failed my congregation for having this condition. So not only did I have to cope with the condition, but also with the shame of feeling it was terrible to have the condition. One day, I summoned the courage to share with one of our older sisters what I was going through. I was amazed. She listened, no judgment, no preaching, just no advice, just listened with care and compassion. That was the beginning of my healing. And also, there is the day-to-day vulnerability of managing emotions. I also want to speak about that because what I have found helpful was, I remember at a meeting, I felt anger by what somebody said. And I used words that were hurtful to the people who heard me. And inside myself, I was saying, yes, it drove me to it. And there was a part of me too that was saying, well, I shouldn't have had my temper tantrums that way because I wanted to do something about it. So there was a kind of civil war going on inside me. Then I shared with somebody. So that's another thing I would encourage. I shared with somebody and said, this is what is going on. On one hand, I feel, yes, they deserve it. She deserves it. On the other hand, that's not what really I want. I want to do it differently. So again, the person helped me to know that anger is a normal part of being human. And then I started learning, and I'm still learning, how to manage my emotions so that when I'm angry, I can still express what is important to me and do it with care for those who are hearing me. Like that Ephesians that says, speak the truth with love. So these are some of the things I'm finding helpful. My sisters, we are on this journey together. I too, I'm still learning. Even doing this video, I'm saying to myself, how dare you? It's vulnerable for me. So all I'm finding helpful is to take tiny steps at a time. Even to admit that I am vulnerable and that it's okay to be vulnerable. To, if you can, seek the support of each other. See somebody that you can trust and share that vulnerability so that we heal one another. And please, if somebody shares with you, if you're able, just listen with care, with understanding. Together, let us begin to see that we are human and manage our time so that we can get 7 to 8 hours sleep on average. And then learn to use words like, I am sorry. I don't know. I am learning. Even in our ministries, we can seek feedback, have suggestion box where those we serve can share with us so that we learn and grow. And I believe, my sisters, as we all know, our calling is to the most vulnerable. If we begin to taste our own vulnerability, I strongly believe that we will come to the most vulnerable, seeing them truly as our sisters and our brothers. So as I come to the end of this message, thank you so much for making this journey with me. And I'm also open and willing to learn your own wisdom that you have discovered on this journey. And may Mary, our patroness, the vulnerable woman of Nazareth, accompany us as we make this journey together and with our world in our vulnerability and in our joys. And the paradox of vulnerability is summarized by St. Paul in 2 Corinthians, where he says, when I am weak, then I am strong. Very happy feast day, my dear sisters. God bless us all. Thank you. Namaste.